You know, I've had quite a few people tell me that their experience of eating corned beef has been absolutely vile. They have said, oh, it's like an old-fashioned food, that sort of thing you would get in boarding school, and the texture of the meat is tough and horrible, and it's just not a pleasant experience. And I've always said, you've been eating the wrong corned beef. You've been eating boarding school corned beef. You've been eating the sort of corned beef that has been boiled in water for ages and ages and just becomes like a rock. That's not how to eat corned beef. Corned beef should be a really nice, pleasant experience. So I'm going to show you how to make corned beef in the slow cooker there, that you will just love, that will just fall away when you eat it and will melt in your mouth. Now, in order to make your corned beef, you will need a corned beef silver side that you can pick up from the supermarket. They usually come in around between $10 and $13 for one this size. Now, it's got instructions on the back how to do it, but ignore those. If you follow those instructions, you will get the horrible corned beef that you remember. Do not follow those instructions. You'll also need some pepper, an onion, some carrots, some brown malt vinegar, some cloves, and most importantly, nutmeg. Actually, some people might say the cloves, the most important thing. 10 cloves are what we're going to use. And of course, most importantly, you will need a slow cooker, or a crock pot, if you will. Now, I've had this one for 26 years, so it's a bit old school, but it still does the job, but it's nice and deep as well. Cut the top off using your kitchen scissors, and they're always a bit tight at the top, so it's a bit hard to get them out. It's a bit like birthing a baby. You've got to try and squeeze it out like that. But I'm making this look much harder than it needs to be. Now, pop that in there like that. We'll put the fat side on the bottom at the moment. Now, all this goop in here, we want to hang on to that. We don't want to lose that. So we'll just pop that over here for a second. We will come back to it. There's all sorts of wonderful gravy goodness in that. Now, I'll get rid of that little piece there. Now, with your onion, you're going to pop that in the water that this is cooking in. And let's do it like... I find if you do it on my knife skills aren't great, on an angle like that, the onion will stay together better in the water. Take all that business off. I'm taking this off last because I don't want it to make my eyes water. So we'll pop one in there. And we'll pop one on this side. Carrots can go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of this up. We'll put that there so we can see it a little better. We will get our 10 cloves. Now, I always end up spilling about 50 out when I'm trying to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1 for the pot. And here's our extra too many. You can go over here. Then we want to put in a little bit of pepper, bit of a sprinkle like that. You can put in more if you really love pepper. The thing I didn't tell us we'll need, apart from the nutmeg, look, good shake of nutmeg right over the top of that. Look, going crazy, covering the whole thing in nutmeg, is brown sugar. Or raw sugar. So what I do is I just put enough over the top like that just to cover it. That's more than sufficient. Some people like to put a bit extra in, but I think about that much will be fine. Go over there. And then a half a cup of brown vinegar. So we'll just go do half a cup here. Half a cup of brown vinegar. Pour it over the top. And then this is where we use this bag. I'm going to fill this up with water, and what that will do is that will let all this red juice join in the saucy gravy bits, and so that'll all get added into the water that covers this thing over. So one moment please. So I've just filled up this bag with water, And that's got some of the red saucy jelly bits on the side here have gone into that as well. Push you in as well. My hands are clean. And what I'm going to do is, without spilling this all over the floor, I'm going to put that water in over the top of everything else that we've got in. I've used a bit of warm water here. I have a very cold kitchen, which is why it actually looks steamier than it is. Trying not to spill it everywhere. Now I have only just covered the top of the corned beef over. Now, don't lose any of this goodness. Give that a good old squeeze out like this. Get all that in there. You want all that really nice red gravy stuff to go in there. It's not gravy stuff yet. It will be when we're finished though. So every bit of flavour out of there. Now I'm just going to top it up with a bit more water to cover the top of the piece there. I'll do that in my cup. And a bit more water just to take us past the top there. Now that's everything in there that we need. Now we put this into the slow cooker, and I'm going to set it for the entire day. At the moment it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to have this ready to go when I want my dinner at about 6:30. Now we put that into the slow cooker. Oh, it would probably be a good thing to plug it in and turn it on as well, but I'm just going to put this on because I'm doing it for the whole day until 1. Pop the lid on. Get that bit off the top there. You're on, do your thing. Okay, it is about 7 hours later and our corned beef has been sitting in here. I did have a poke at it a few minutes ago. Now you can see all these little bits of fat that were in the bag. The juices, they've all gone a bit solid, but they've added lots of flavour to the water here. Our carrots have cooked nicely. We've had the onions have stayed together, but throwing all their flavour into the water as well. And let me see if I can do this so that you can see. This, when you pull it out, look at how it's just falling to pieces, and it should come away like pulled pork. That's how soft you want it. There we go. Can we see that bit there? We want that to be really soft like pulled pork. It's very, very flavoursome. Let me have a little taste of that, little strands. Oh, delicious. And very, very tender. It really is melt in your mouth sort of stuff. Now, in order to get a really nice sauce to go with the corned beef, what I'm going to do, I've got the ladle here and a little cup or soup dish, I suppose that is, not a cup. And without getting any of the cloves in there, we don't want the cloves, I'm going to collect some of this liquid from around the corned beef. Don't mind if we get their little flavoursome fatty bits. They're quite good. But I'm getting enough liquid just so I can use it as a base for the sauce that's going to go over the corned beef. Okay, now we're going to make the sauce that goes with the corned beef. For this I've just got about 90 grams of butter, half a cup of grated cheese. I like the vintage, but you can have whatever cheese you like. We've got the liquid we took from around the corned beef, some curry powder. We're going to have a teaspoon or 2 of that. And sauce, we use that as a bit of a backup. We'll come back to that later. But rice flour, you should have this in your kitchen. If you need to make sauces and things quickly, rice flour is good. And unlike normal flour, it doesn't take ages to cook the taste out. Start by melting our butter in our fry pan. Down you go. Okay, now that's all melted down. So now we're going to add the rice flour. Now, I want to take it off the heat to do this. I'm going to just put in a bit of rice flour like that. I'll start with just a few shakes. I'm not going by individual measurements. I'm sort of just doing what feels right. And I'm going to turn that all into a paste without getting any lumps in it. No, still want some more. There you go. A lot of this is just doing it until it feels right, until it's what you're happy with. Other people might say, oh, you've used too much. But you can see how here it's starting to take on almost a crummy sort of consistency, or it's not, staying as one big thing. That's what I want. I want it to get like that. And we'll bring that back down here. Now, what we need to do is I might just move you over there so you hear off that heat for a minute. I'm now getting the liquid that we saved before, and bit by bit I'm going to mix it in here. Just a bit at a time, because this is the bit where we've got to try and make that into a pasty consistency without lumps. So I'm just bringing it in from the edges and working it in so I don't get any lumps, because there's nothing worse than lumpy gravy, unless it's lumpy mashed potato. Still got some liquid there, so let's get the consistency even. A bit more liquid can come in now, up the top there. Oh, see, nearly getting some lumps there, so we'll just keep working those. So there's none. Working from the edges. And those little bits of fat that are in there, still doing their bit to add all their flavour. I can probably get some more liquid. I think even if I use all the liquid that's in here, it's not going to be enough. So I can probably look at adding some more liquid from the corned beef. Keep going, make sure it's not all the liquid on the bottom, get the bits from the bottom. Now we've got more to add in yet. Now this is the point where if I was going to put in some tomato sauce, I would just put in a tablespoon of tomato sauce now. Or you can use tomato paste if you want. One little splodge, I'll do that off the spoon there. About that much tomato sauce, about a tablespoon. Stir that into it as well. Because we had the vinegar in the corned beef, the sweetness in the tomato sauce works really nicely with the tartness of the vinegary sort of taste, the acid of the vinegar. Now, we've got that coming to a bit of a pink colour there, and this is where I will now put in some curry powder. You can also put the curry powder in at the same time as the rice flour if you want to. So I've just done a teaspoon and a bit there. Get that all in as well. Make sure it all mixes in. No little lumps of curry powder, please. And the most important part, the cheese. Put that in as well. And then let that start to melt in. And we'll return it to the heat. And as we return it to the heat, the whole thing will start to thicken up a bit more. I don't want it too runny. I want it so when the cheese is melted, I can do that and pull it aside, and it will still sort of take a while to go back. That's about the consistency I want it. Right. Okay, it's time to serve our corned beef. If you look at this, you can see how I can just pull that away like shredded pork, shredded meat. That's how it should be coming away, just in strands like that. That's how tender it should be. So what I'll do is I'll cut that across that way like that. Oops, days. Trying to do this with tongs. It's a bit difficult. There you go. And work a camera at the same time. So I'm just taking away little thin pieces of it like that. You'll notice this is nothing like the rock that you ate, that great Aunty Beryl made and forced you to eat on the school holidays. I think that's more than enough for one person. And we top the whole thing off with our beautiful sauce that we made. So we'll cover that over with our beautiful dressing, a little bit on the veggies, because I like it on the veggies, and what the hell, put a bit up there as well. But there, that is how you do corned beef that doesn't taste like, oh hello, that doesn't taste like the corned beef you had in boarding school. Corned beef Justin style. And you don't have to have Brussels sprouts if you don't like Brussels sprouts. All right, enjoy. Corned beef fit for a queen.
Hello, I wish to say how much I approve of Justin's corned beef. It is the only way to eat corned beef. Thank you.